Okay, we can start whenever you'd like.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Keith Thompson. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the College of Engineering. Today, Dr. Marlena Lester and I are going to talk to you about joining the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech and the adjustments that you'll need to make to be successful. Marlena and I are part of a larger office, the College of Engineering Academic Affairs office. We handle a lot of the undergraduate issues within the college. We're part of a broad system of student support that includes the departmental advisors when we're here to help you in your time at Virginia Tech. Marlena and I both want to thank you for choosing Virginia Tech for your college experience. Today's orientation is going to contain a lot of advice you're going to need to know to be successful, particularly in your first year. That advice is going to be reiterated several times during this next year, so don't worry if it all doesn't sink in today. Let's move on to the next slide. One of the first things I want to say is just to recognize that Virginia Tech is an educator of high quality engineering students. There are going to be high expectations of performance while you're at Virginia Tech, but you're also going to be offered a lot of opportunities to participate in engineering competition teams, to conduct undergraduate research, and to interact with many other students of similar capability and passion as yourself. I'd like to say that we don't admit you if we don't think you have the potential to be a successful student here. While that doesn't mean you aren't going to face any struggles while you adjust from high school to college life, I want to say that that's also a very common process. And those struggles can be a good opportunity to learn and mature as you're an undergraduate student. Let's move on to the next slide. I also want to state that Virginia Tech is really big. In the fall, particularly the College of Engineering, in the fall of 2023, we're going to have almost 10,000 undergraduate students just in the College of Engineering. That's all of our freshmen through our seniors. One of the great things about that size is it gives us a lot of capability to offer many different programs to choose from. And a lot of those programs have specialized tracks within them. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to choose something that fits your passion very closely and differentiate your learning to match that. However, with that size, it can also be very easy to feel lost with so many students. So understanding how to identify sources of help at Virginia Tech is going to be a very important skill for you to develop. Let's move on to the next slide. So let me jump into talking about some of the expectations you're going to face here. I'm sure that you've heard that college is going to be different from high school, and it's going to be different in many ways. To start with, your life management is going to be very different. So nobody's going to be there to directly monitor you. You'll have a lot more autonomy to make your own choices, which means you're going to need to master things like time management, study routines, and juggling academic responsibilities. But you're also going to need to solve a lot of other day-to-day types of tasks, mundane types of tasks, such as getting your laundry done, keeping your space in order, eating properly, managing money, and et cetera. I'm sure that many of you are probably already used to this, but I'm sure for some of you, it's going to be the first time that you're handling these things. It might be the first time you're away from home. It's a great thing to adapt to those types of tasks and to learn these skills. You'll come out of college much more ready to live on your own and juggle the routines of managing a life while you're also trying to start a professional career. So you're going to have a lot more freedom, but that's also going to mean the freedom to make mistakes. And it's good to make mistakes so long as you learn from them. In addition to navigating life, students are also going to need to learn how to navigate the university. And what I mean by this is that this is a big university. We've got a lot of rules, requirements, and deadlines. We have rules about academic standards, rules for academic integrity, rules about degree requirements, timelines for adding and dropping classes, changing majors, et cetera. And we don't grant a lot of exceptions to those rules. We also have a large bureaucracy of many different offices across the campus and specialized personnel, and that can be very confusing when you're just trying to get answers to some type of question. But each of you is going to have an academic advisor who's assigned to you, and that academic advisor is typically the best first stop if you have any types of questions. We also try to be very intentional about communicating information that you're going to need in a timely manner. You'll need to be very conscious about deadlines and your planning around deadlines to make sure that you're going to be on time for them. Most deadlines you're going to encounter at Virginia Tech are strictly enforced. And those can be deadlines about the due date for an assignment, a deadline to apply for some opportunity like a scholarship, or a deadline to take action on a university process such as adding or dropping classes. So you're going to need to spend a lot of time figuring out all those different things. And it's best if you become your own advocate in working with faculty and other personnel across the university. You may not be very comfortable talking to a professor or some administrator at first, but you may find yourself in that type of a situation. Most of the faculty and administrators that are here are thoughtful, understanding people, but they do have limits on how much they can bend policy. And typically they're constrained for different various accreditation reasons or other types of policy reasons. However, they can often offer advice and sometimes point out an option that you may not have thought of when you're trying to seek help. Oops, we went a little bit, yep, the email one was the best one. Can you go to that slide? There we are. I cannot stress enough how much you need to check and read your emails. Your vt.edu email is going to be the official contact method between the university and you. Please make sure that you check it, if not weekly, or if not daily, at least a few times a week. During the academic year, personnel from our office, the Academic Affairs Office, are going to be sending you numerous messages regarding upcoming deadlines and other requirements. Please keep an eye out for these and make sure you read those messages. Now, I'm very conscious that you are going to get a lot of emails from this university, and it'll be very tempting to let those go into your junk folder. Please don't let that happen. At least take the time to scan them, figure out what sort of content is in them, and especially if there's some deadline in there that you need to be paying attention to. Up until recently, we've been using the email associated with your application for admission. So that might be a Gmail account, a Hotmail account, or something else. But you should have already received instructions about how to set up your vt.edu email by now. If you've not already done this, please do this after this orientation. With all this said, also don't expect immediate responses when you send someone an email, or expect to be able to drop in by somebody's office and just without an appointment and be able to talk to them. Typically appointments, whether they are by Zoom, a Zoom meeting, or an in-person meeting, are made through Navigate, and that's the campus's software for advising. All of our advisors have a lot of students that they work with, and some of them have other tasks that they have to deal with that they're responsible for. So it's not unusual for them to have their day completely booked up well in advance. So timeliness in asking questions and making sure that you can get onto somebody's calendar for a meeting is very important. The need for urgency is often not necessary if you're proactively reading your communications and paying attention to the deadlines that are being communicated in those. Let's move on to the next slide. So I want to talk a little bit about classes. Instruction at Virginia Tech is going to feel different from the instruction you've had in high school or possibly at a community college. There's going to be a lot more emphasis on comprehension of foundational theory rather than memorization of formulas and facts and figures. You may need to know how to apply your understanding of something to new situations that don't look like the problems you had on your homework. The material may also be presented in a much less structured manner than what you may be used to. There's going to be a high expectation for you to absorb material with less direction, particularly reading outside of class and going over your notes and organizing them and rethinking through the content outside of the lectures. You're going to need to be much more of an independent learner. If you're like I was when I first went off to college, I did not know how to study. I had never needed to know how to do it in high school. So in addition to learning the material that you need to know for your classes, you're also going to have to learn how to study in ways that work for you. You're also going to need to pay close attention to the expectations of instructors and start your assignments early. Like I've said before, many instructors are very rigid on due dates and don't accept late work. And they may expect that work to fit into very specific formatting standards, and they may not give partial credit for incomplete work. Don't wait until the day before a due date to begin looking at an assignment. You're also going to want to set aside time each day to review material from your courses, even if you don't have something due later in the week. The typical rule of thumb is 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour that you spend in class. So if you think about a typical 15 credit course load, That means 45 to 60 hours of work outside of total work during a given week. The 15 credits that you're spending in class, plus another 30 to 45 that you might be spending outside of class. That's more than a full-time job when you add it all up. And that doesn't include the time you're going to need to manage your life or devote that you may want to devote to valuable co-curricular activities like student competition teams or just, other types of things that are valuable in college. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's talk a little bit about the honor code. I want to give a special warning here about Chegg and ChatGPT and other similar resources. Virginia Tech has an honor code, and academic misconduct is taken very seriously by the university and by a lot of the faculty here. Sanctions for academic misconduct can include an F-star grade. And what that is, it's a failing grade for an entire class that goes onto your transcript with a notation, an asterisk after the F, that indicates that the F was given for academic misconduct. That's not an uncommon sanction. Multiple offenses can result in suspension or even expulsion from the university. So it's really important that you pay attention to the rules of conduct that are expected for completing assignments or exams in your classes. Because of how many cases I've seen related to Chegg specifically, I want to give an explicit warning about that and other sort of similar tutoring/resource websites that you might find on the internet. Let's go on to the next slide. So after all these messages, it won't be surprising if you're starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed. That's normal. It's perfectly fine. College can be a very up and down experience until you get used to it. In your first year, you may encounter homesickness, loneliness, uncertainty, feelings of insecurity, anxiety, and depression. You may have been a top student in high school and find that you're closer to average at Virginia Tech. You might just plain feel lost in your classes. It's okay to go through any of that. Looking back at my own college experience, the one lesson I wish I had learned is how to ask for help, whether that was academic help or help figuring out how to manage expectations or just counseling whenever I was having a rough spot in my life. I did not use the resources that were available enough when I was an undergraduate, and there were many resources available. Even though I did fine later on, I could have done much better had I been less stubborn about getting advice and asking for help when I needed it. It's normal and it's okay to experience any number of problems when you first go up to college. And you can recover from a certain amount of bad grades, but that becomes harder and harder if you don't talk to others when you need help and start getting advice on what actions to take to make improvements. The important thing is to define realistic expectations for yourself and to focus on making forward progress. And we're going to try to help you do that. So let's go to the next slide. The university and the college, as I've said before, we have numerous opportunities for support. A couple of resources that what I want to point out right now, we have a counselor from the Cook Counseling Center who's embedded with the college, and she specializes in working exclusively with engineering students and focuses on the issues that tend to be prevalent in the engineering academic experience. The university also maintains a student success center, and that center provides tutoring support services among other academic types of support. Some departments, such as computer science, which is our biggest program within the College of Engineering, they maintain their own tutoring service space, and that's located in Torgerson Hall. We have a group called SWAT, and SWAT stands for Software Assistance Triage. They're also located in Torgerson Hall. They can help you with any computer or software needs that you might occur. So if you're trying to work on assignments and your computer starts to act buggy, you can contact SWAT and you can try to get help with it. In some cases, they can even give you a loaner computer to get you through a week if you need it. The Dean of Students office is also a good resource if you're having any type of life emergency. I don't hesitate to contact them if anything starts to happen in your life where you might need it might impact you. I also want to mention the college's Center for the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity, that's CEED. You'll see their little block there in the lower right-hand side of the screen. Among the various services they offer, they have a peer mentoring program, and that pairs freshman students with upper-level students as mentors. They also run our living learning communities, Galileo and Hypatia. SEED is currently located in the Gilbert Street building, and you can easily find them by, if you just Google their website, you can Google VT-CEED, and they're usually the first hit that comes up. If you've had disability accommodations in high school, or if you are on an IEP plan, I strongly encourage you to contact the Services for Students with Disabilities office at Virginia Tech and make use of accommodations here. I've seen a lot of students try to forego the use of accommodations in college, and that often has very mixed results. Accommodations are handled in a discrete fashion, and they're designed to provide a fair learning situation for students who are authorized to have them. We maintain a list of different resources on our website, and you can see the link up here on the slide. That wraps up my part of this orientation. I want to reemphasize that you're now a Hokie. You're part of the Virginia Tech community. We've accepted you because we believe you're qualified to be here, and we have confidence in you. I want to thank you for your time. I'm now going to pass this over to Dr. Lester. She is the College of Engineering's Director of Advising, and she's going to go over a lot of other important information.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson, and welcome everyone to this orientation experience. This is part of our virtual academic advising and course registration college overview session. So as part of your onboarding to Virginia Tech, we have designed these sessions virtually for you to ask questions and so forth for you to us. And we also have a few other Q&A sessions that we have outlined for you during the summer. And then, of course, you have your academic advising one-on-one and then course registration. So earlier in the summer, I would have shared information to all incoming students on May 1st. There would have been information shared about our engineering orientation checklist. And there was a couple specific email messages that was shared out with students. The first was that May 8th, where it was a kind of college welcome that introduced you to that college engineering orientation checklist. There was also a June 5th email that would have contained specific details about the one-on-one advising experience for your particular program. Then between June 12th and July 28th, so we're getting ready to kind of wrap up orientation season, you had the opportunity to attend a mandatory virtual one-on-one academic advising appointment for your major. Those dates do vary by major, by advisor, by program, and this can be done prior to registering for classes or after registering for classes or vice versa. You do have the ability to also register for your classes. That started June 12th all the way until August 25th, which is the last day to add classes for fall 2023. So this is an ongoing process that you have all summer long to be able to finalize your class schedule after you're meeting with your advisor or prior to meeting with your advisor. Then we have these sessions that Dr. Thompson and I lead for the college overview, and then some of the topical sessions. And as related to those topical sessions, the last session of our orientation programming is a session on study abroad this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So if you do have questions about study abroad, global internship, kind of within that global environment. We also will talk about our Rising Sophomore Abroad program, which is one of the most popular programs for College of Engineering students. Definitely check that out. But if you cannot attend live, we will have the recording of that session and all of these sessions on our orientation website. So you can see those from prior sessions that we've also hosted. We hosted a session back in June on the computer requirement, which really talked through the specific specifications that you need for your computer requirement. We also had a session on peer mentoring through the Center for Enhancement of Engineering Diversity that Dr. Thompson also shared with you today as a resource. We had a session on Hokie Shops, which is our Virginia Tech bookstore system. We also had one on career support last week. And then, like I said, today's session on study abroad. So definitely, if you didn't get to attend those live, you can go on our orientation website and watch those recordings. And I encourage you to do so. In addition to the resources and support in general for you, once you're a student here, you can see all of those on our website. We do have a robust list of engineering orientation resources for you on that orientation website. Those are all the details like our checklist, which is a really comprehensive list of items that you need to complete in order to make a successful transition from your prior institution to Virginia Tech or from high school to Virginia Tech, because we are fully aware that we, on the call today, we should have first time in college students admitted to general engineering, or we should have first time in college students admitted to building construction, or students who are transfer or admitted in building instruction as a transfer student in the College of Engineering to specific departments. You'll also find information on this website specifically about the ALEX placement, which is specific for enrollment at Virginia Tech in calculus and general chemistry, the specific details about the computer requirement, and any additional supplies that you are recommended or required to have before starting here at Virginia Tech. We also have information on how you can self-evaluate your transfer credits if your AP or IB or transfer credits have not already been officially awarded on Hokie SPA, and I'll chat with you a little bit about that in a moment. I do also want to point out that most of the students who took AP scores in high school, they should have already been reflected on the Hokie SPA system by now. The big download that we received from College Board came around July 5th and was reflected into our records here at the university. We are still waiting on IB scores to be officially kind of in our system. That's a manual process to be updated, but any other transcripts and such should already be in Hokie SPA if you've requested those to be sent. I do want to make sure that you're also aware that if you had AP credit and you decide that you want to self-enroll in a class that you already have credit for through AP, Virginia Tech does do a system called AP duplicate drop. And the reason that we do that is we always recommend that you accept your AP credit and move on to the next level of the course. So if you do try to self-enroll in a class that you have credit for, like you have credit for US history, and you decide to self-enroll in that at Virginia Tech, you would be dropped by the system and not permitted to re-enroll in that particular class. We also have information on our website specifically for the check sheets. You will follow the check sheets for 2023 entering class. That's for undergrad catalog 2023. And those are posted on our check sheet website through orientation for now until the registrar's office has them officially coded and put on their website later this summer. There's specific details on our website about course registration and also some specific details around major restricted courses. So you might be going into your class registration system and you're trying to pick a particular section of a class, but it won't let you because it says it's major restricted. There's details on that system that explain why that is the case. Essentially, we have an allocation of a certain amount of sections of certain sections of classes for the College of Engineering, and the other sections are reserved for other majors, or some programs may restrict classes to their majors only as a priority and then open those restrictions later in the summer. There's also details for change of major, specifically as it relates to students who are admitted as general engineering, and you want to know how to go into a specific degree granting engineering major. It explains that process, along with the resources and support section that Dr. Thompson shared with you about today and our frequently asked question. In addition to these orientation resources, we do have Canvas sites set up for all incoming students. There's a specific Canvas site for transfer students. There's a specific one for general engineering students, and then there's one for building instruction. So if you have not accepted your invitation to that Canvas site, I would encourage you to do so, because there are lots of resources that explain all of these particulars that I just went over on those sites that kind of outline that in a couple different ways. So I mentioned your transcripts and score reports. You do want to make sure that you have sent all your official high school, college, and university transcripts to the Office of Undergrad Admissions at Virginia Tech, and the mailing address is there. You can also send those electronically from Parchment. They have to come from the original source though. So they have to come from the university that you took classes through, or it has to come from your high school directly. It can't come from the student to those places. So you need to make sure that they have done that. As far as any kind of official score reports, such as advanced placement, IB, CLEP, Cambridge, or any other type of testing agencies, again, you will want to make sure you send that directly from the testing agency to the Office of University Registrar's Office using the school code here. We do accept the majority of all of these through electronic as well. The reason that we have sending your official high school transcripts to, this is something that you will see a notation on your applicant portal for admissions. You may have already done this. This is just a reminder. There is no way to verify from my perspective if you have sent your high school transcript, so you'll have to just monitor the system on your applicant portal if you have already done that. As far as your college transcripts from dual enrollment, or if you took classes at another university and are a transfer student here, you can verify that Virginia Tech has received your official records on Hokie SPA. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are keeping up and being familiar with your records and checking those for accuracy. It is critical that you ensure that any expected transfer credits are reflected correctly on Hokie SPA. And you can check that status by going into Hokie SPA, grades menu, transfer and other additional credits. And that is where you'll be able to see the course that you took at the prior institution and the Virginia Tech equivalency, or the same thing for advanced placement, IB, or any other kind of test. If you see a notation on your Hokie SPA transfer and other additional credits that says send syllabus to credits at vt.edu, then you do want to comply with that note and send your syllabus for when you took that course to that email address. And what we will do is we just need a little additional information about that particular course in order to evaluate that for Virginia Tech credit. Our office, the Office of Academic Affairs in the College of Engineering, is also sending reminders to students about that notation, and we will do so until the end of orientation season. So earlier I mentioned the way that students were admitted into the College of Engineering, and the way that that structure works is we have two different types of degree programs at Virginia Tech. And within our college, the College of Engineering, we have restricted degrees, which mean you have to have certain admissions criteria in order to be admitted into those. And we have non-restricted degrees. And for most first-time in college students in our college, you are admitted as general engineering and have to meet certain admissions criteria or change of major criteria in order to go into one of our 14 restricted degree programs. And those restricted degree programs is everything from aerospace to ocean engineering. As a transfer student, we admit directly into programs because we have additional admissions criteria for those programs based on your prior institution's credits. As far as admission to building construction, that is a non-restricted program in our college. And so we do admit directly from first-time in college students to building construction. And we also admit students into that as a transfer directly. So you do have kind of three different pockets of admission criteria for the College of Engineering right now going on. In relation to your degree requirements, the way that our structure works here is that there are four real major components to your degree. There's the pathways to general education requirements, which is about 36% of your criteria for your degree completion. You have your major requirements, which is about 45% of the degree requirements. You have your technical electives, which is about 17%, and then free electives about 2% or 0%, depending on your program. The credit ranges for our programs across all College of Engineering majors is from 123 to 132. So our recommended course load for all students is that you enroll in 15 to 17 credit hours, regardless of the amount of AP, IB, transfer, dual enrollment credits you're bringing in, because that allows you to have 123 credits as an example, 15 credits plus a semester in order to graduate in 8 semesters or 4 years. As a transfer student, we're going to highly encourage you to finish your degree in 3 years or less. And so taking that 15 to 17 credit hours is going to be that kind of sweet spot in recommendation for your course load, regardless of those. In addition to the graduation requirements that you have for your program, we do have something to guide you through that process, and that process is called our check sheets. And in the College of Engineering, you can locate the current undergrad catalog check sheets on our orientation website. That's the only place you can find those right now during orientation season for your entering class. So that is something that you want to make a note of. Once the registrar's office does get those encoded into our degree audit system and loaded onto the registrar's website, they will be there. But for now, all of those are posted on the College of Engineering website for engineering degrees. You can find the check sheets on our orientation website. Like I mentioned, it's going to contain all of those requirements that I mentioned as far as the components of the degree, your pathways to general education requirements, your major requirements, electives, graduation policies, and also there are going to be special notations for a lot of the classes if they might be fall only with an F or spring only with an S. Or maybe if a class is only offered summer 1 and maybe spring, or summer 2 and spring, or maybe occasionally we will have a class offered for winter. And so those notations are on the check sheet for engineering degrees to help you with your academic planning for those requirements. So definitely take a look at those check sheets if you have not already done so. For me personally, I really enjoy looking at the check sheet specifically on the second and third pages. That's where you can read about all the policies. But also if you're a little confused about the pathways to general education requirements and what categories you need to fulfill for each of your program requirements, that to me is a very nice visual on that second page where it shows you all of the degree requirements for your pathways that you need to complete for your particular program of interest. In addition to the check sheets, another great resource for you to kind of help navigate this system is something that Dr. Thompson also shared with you earlier, is your academic advisor. All new students who are admitted to the College of Engineering has been already assigned an academic advisor. You can locate that academic advisor's contact information on Hokie SPAs, where you can see who your academic advisor is under View General Student Information. You can also locate that information on Navigate as we get closer to the fall semester. But right now you can go into Hokie SPA and click on View Your General Student Information, and that's where you can locate the name of your academic advisor. You definitely want to make sure that you're discussing lots of things with your academic advisor, such as your academic progress, grades, course registration, campus involvement, academic and career goals, or anything else that you have. They're a great first point of contact. If you're unsure of who to contact, they can usually help refer you to the appropriate office in order to get that support that you need. During orientation, your advisor would have contacted you on June 5th with instructions on how to make an appointment with them or with someone within their unit or department. And after orientation is over, you will be able to use Navigate to schedule an appointment with your advisor. During orientation, the majority of our advisors in the college also use Navigate for you to schedule an appointment. They just might have used a different feature within that platform and given you those specific instructions on that June 5th email. If you have not connected with your advisor already, I need you to do so basically this week or next week. That is the absolute last time to be able to be in contact with your advisor to get everything squared away for orientation. When you are working with your advisor, I do want to remind you that you must have at least 12 credit hours to be considered a full-time student. Full-time status is required for students who live on campus, if you receive financial aid, if you're an NCAA athlete, if you're an international student here on an F1 visa or any kind of visa status, typically you need to have 12 credit hours as a minimum. The 15 to 17 credit hours recommendation for a College of Engineering is necessary to basically keep on track with your degree within 4 years, and keeping in mind those credit ranges do vary by our program. 123 to 132 or so is about where our programs lie as far as the number of credits for that degree. And typically that 15 to 17 credit hours helps you achieve those goals. There are some particular pockets of students that might have more than that. Some may have less, but when it comes to Corps of Cadets, you typically have your core requirements in addition to some requirements for your engineering degree. Regardless of your status as a student, first time in college, transfer, or any other special group that you're involved in, 19 credit hours is the maximum number of credit that any new student can take at Virginia Tech. So I want to keep you in mind that's kind of those numbers when it comes to enrollment for your first semester at the university. Earlier in my overview summary of orientation, I mentioned that course registration is open from June 12th through August 25th. So you can go into Hokie SPA now, and you can go into the course registration schedule menu, and you can click on add and drop to be able to register your classes. You can utilize 2 tools for course registration. The first tool is Hokie Scheduler. The second tool is registration, add and drop and schedule. And those are great ways for you to go in and actually register for your classes. There are video tutorials on your Canvas site and also on the orientation website for the College of Engineering, publicly available to anyone to watch those. The Canvas site is going to be only for students to be able to go in and see those details. Then there's also a reminder here again. I've mentioned this twice today, so it's very important that you know this, is that some of the courses might have major and course restrictions. So some courses are major restricted, meaning that only students officially enrolled in a major or a set of majors can enroll in that class. You can utilize another tool called the timetable of classes to search by term. You can also use it to search for your pathways to general education courses. If you know specifically which class you're trying to look for, you can look for it by subject and course number. You can also then find the course request number, which is the number you need to register for that particular section, date and time, and instructor. You can also see the course modality on that timetable of classes. In the search results, you can click on the CRN on the far left-hand side to view the course prerequisites, the co-requisites, and also any restrictions. So for those of you who are here as far as students, you're either a general engineering student, a building construction student, or a student in a degree granting engineering major. Those are all majors within the College of Engineering. So if you see a restriction that says this course is available to all majors except College of Engineering, then you cannot register for that specific section of that course, but you should look for different sections of the course to see if there are other section times, dates, instructors available to you. It doesn't mean you can't enroll in that course, just not that particular section. So it's a bit confusing, but just want to point that out again. Once you do work with your advisor and you have finalized your class schedule, you will want to make sure that you have confirmed all your courses that you think you have registered for on Hokie SPA through the Classic Student Schedule view. This, to me, is the thing that we prefer in advising that you look at to see your finalized class schedule. It gives you the CRN, which is that course request number, the course prefix, the modality of the course, the title of the course, the grading option, which should all be A through F, and unless the only course is offered pass-fail, but A through F is where you'll get an actual letter grade in the course. Pass-fail is not an option for new students to the university unless that course is only taught pass-fail. And that's semantics that you'll have to work out with your advisor. Then you have credit hours, the time the class is taught, the days of the week. So you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday is that first example. R is Thursday, and if it's TR, that's Tuesday, Thursday. So R is the representation there for Thursday. You also have your location, and your locations also typically have a hyperlink out so you can see where that's at on campus map along with the room number. There's also additional tools on that timetable classes to show you the building abbreviations. Instructor, and also the exam. So the exam is something that I want to point out to you today in case you're starting to plan ahead. If you're kind of have that futuristic mindset and you're thinking, well, what's going to happen in December after I finish my first semester at Virginia Tech, and you want to plan your departure from the university for your winter break, you want to make sure that you look at your exam schedule first. Not your final exam for your course does not always fall on the last day of classes for your course. It may have a completely different day, time that you have for your final exam. So you want to look at this schedule on Hokie SPA Classic Student Schedule to see your final exam schedule, and then also cross-reference that with the syllabi that your faculty will provide to you around that first week of classes here in the fall semester. So speaking of the fall semester, the first day of classes is August 21st. And so these are the upcoming academic dates and deadlines that I have listed here for the first few months of the fall semester. You also have the last day to add a course, which is August 25th, and the last day to drop a course, which is October 3rd. So dropping a course means that you start out in the course, and within the first 6 weeks, if you decide that you don't want to be in that course any longer, you can drop that course prior to October 3rd without grade penalty. After that, you'll have to use a course withdrawal, which gets onto other policies that you'll discuss with your advisor in the fall semester. But the last day to add anything new is going to be August 25th, and the last day to drop is October 3rd. The complete list and dates for the fall semester or any future semesters can be located on the registrar's website. I also have these linked out on your orientation checklist as a thing that you should bookmark, so you know the entire academic calendar for your fall and spring semester the first year here at Virginia Tech. If you're looking to kind of stay informed through social media platforms, the College of Engineering does have a very robust presence in that space. So you can follow along with the College of Engineering Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media platforms. We do have a really cool Engineering Opportunities Facebook page that we encourage all students to add to their account if you do have Facebook. That's where we'll post internships, co-ops, or if sometimes we have employers looking for jobs, in addition to some of the other platforms that the university uses, such as Handshake through Career and Professional Development. You can find links to all of the social media on that URL that you see on the screen here. If you're looking specifically to be connected with your program that you want to pursue or that you're already in, so for example, if you're in the computer science major and you want to follow their social media, you can find those through that URL, all of those for all majors within the College of Engineering that have those. In addition to those details, I wanted to share with you just a few final reminders about finalizing your class schedule. Make sure that you have that 15 to 17 credit hours. If you have not already bookmarked or reviewed the orientation website for your degree requirements and so forth, I encourage you to definitely make sure that you have browsed through that website and read through all of the content. It does have a lot of really good information for you. And then also students, I need you to mark your calendar for a couple sessions. There's going to be a college session that Dr. Thompson and I will lead with our Student Engineers Council and the Office of Academic Integrity on August 16th, 17th, or 18th. The date that you will attend this mandatory session is based upon when you move in on campus. There are specific exceptions to those move-in dates listed on our engineering orientation checklist. So this should be the second reminder that you've seen this content. And then there's also going to be a college social. The college social is a fun way for you to interact with our departments across the college. We will have all of our departments represented in a tabling type format. We will also have lots of giveaways. I have some special guests that are going to come and hang out with us during that social time. So at worst case scenario, I need you to be in Blacksburg, kind of settle down by Friday, August 18th, for you to be able to attend the last college session and also the college social on August 18th from 2 to 4 in Goodwin Hall and Lawn. So you can see all of those details on there. This is where you'll be able to have connection with all of our departments. I also invite typically folks like our Global Education Office or our Services for Students with Disability will have a table there. Hokie Shops, which is the bookstore, will also have a table there. Career and Professional Development, as far as internships, will not have a table there, but you can go back and watch the Q&A that we hosted with them last week, and there'll be lots of information there about internships and so forth. So that concludes the portion of orientation that I want to talk with you about today. So what I'll do now is open it up to any questions that you have. What you will do is utilize the Q&A feature. I can answer those questions live or type a response back to you. And so we can go from there. So I do see that I have a first question in here. Is besides the VT Engineering Social, is there a place to search for summer internships and so forth? Yes. So what you will do for finding summer internships or internships in general is you can go on to the Career and Professional Development website. First, I would go back and watch the recording that I did with them last week on the orientation website, because that gives you a really good overview of everything within career and professional development. I mean, probably not everything, but a really good overview. I learned things, and I've been in this Like, I've been at Virginia Tech for 15 years, and I thought the session was extremely beneficial for me as well. And I deal with this all the time as far as referrals. So definitely take a look at that recording. But to answer your direct question, when you're looking for internships, Career and Professional Development here at Virginia Tech is going to recommend that you set up your profile in Handshake, which is a different system that we have for finding internships, co-ops, full-time jobs, and be able to search for those kinds of experiences. A lot of employers through our employer relation team will contact Virginia Tech and ask for us to post positions on that. In addition to finding internships, co-ops, full-time jobs, Virginia Tech, especially in the fall semester, we will host something called Engineering Expo. It's around the first couple weeks of September. And that's where it's one of the largest student-ran career fairs in the country. We have hundreds of employers coming here looking to hire full-time, part-time, and internships. So Engineering Expo is something that you should definitely start be preparing for. In the engineering orientation checklist, there was something on there called the Student Engineers Council Freshman Assignment, I think was the exact words. And that assignment was really to help you get your resume together for Expo, which is in September, and also go ahead and start kind of preparing to get involved with the Student Engineers Council. In addition to Engineering Expo, which is one of the largest career fairs we host within the College of Engineering, there's going to be another career fair in the spring semester. It's called Cameo, and we do this every fall and spring semester. What I encourage for new students is, even if you're not looking for a full-time job or an internship or a co-op right now, definitely come and experience what it's like to see a career fair if you've never been through that environment. So it is very possible for freshmen to get internships, or first time in college students to get an internship. I've seen it many times with my own advisees in the past when I was working directly with a group of students. And so that is always exciting to see first time in college students come in with an offer. So it is definitely possible for that. The question I have in the chat says, if I already received email about VT, has received my high school transcript, do I still go and fill out the SRAR, which is the self-reported academic record, through the portal? I do have trouble to open that website, and I don't really know my grades. That's honestly an admissions questions, the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I would have automatically said yes, just go ahead and do it. But I know it sounds like you're experiencing some trouble with that information. So if admissions is not contacting you saying, I need your final transcript, I mean, you should have gotten emails, because I actually got a student that emailed me who needed to follow up with admissions just this week. Actually, it was yesterday. They should be contacting you if they have any outstanding items. So if you feel that Virginia Tech has received it, then don't worry too much about that particular component. Okay. All right. Any other questions? And for those of you who are just kind of hanging out with me, if you don't have any particular questions, you are free to leave at any time. I don't want to hold your day up, but if you don't have any questions, feel free to leave. I really appreciate you being here today. But for those of you who do still have questions, feel free to pop those in that Q&A feature for me. So I do see that I have a hand raised. If you'll pop that question in to the chat, I'll be able to address that for you. Awesome. Thanks for the feedback too about the session. Really appreciate that, Autumn. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out the actual streaming, but I'll hang tight with you to address any other particular questions that you might have.